Okay, good afternoon. I'm just starting this video with the view out my window at my rental. Those are the mountains, and it's a wet day. So I'm just relaxing at home, and I don't know how to do this video because it's really not a big deal. But I just wanted to do a video on 5 amazing experiences I've had hiking. Let's see what kind of background I want here. All right, I guess that's all right. Okay, number 1, mystery in the forest. I have a video on this experience. I'm gonna put this down, I think. A little more comfortable there. So, mystery in the forest is mystery in the forest is I have a video on this experience. You can fish through my videos. It was a winter day at Wallace Falls State Park, and I like going hiking in the wintertime when there's snow and just after a storm, so I'll be the first one on the snow so I can see the animal prints. So this morning I got to Wallace Falls State Park, and I was the first person on the trail. So I walked all the way up the mountain to the bench where you finish the climb, and took a break, and then I kept walking, and then I started seeing these footprints, boot prints, but they weren't normal boots. They were like flat, like a rain boot or something like that. And I was surprised because I was the first person on the trail for sure. And so it was interesting because normally I like to see like mountain lion prints or something like that, but that was they were extraterrestrial prints. So I kept walking, and there was actually 2 sets of prints, one about 8 inches and the other like 4 inches. And so I kept walking, and those prints went all the way to Jay Lake, which is like another 1.5 miles. It was an amazing experience. So I wasn't expecting to see that morning. And I was thinking while I was walking, I was like, well, this can't be like a person out here, in the middle of the night. It'd be too cold because it was like 25 degrees at Jay Lake. And so it was interesting to think about the extraterrestrials, like those little gray aliens with the big white head. And it was interesting because how do they survive in the cold weather? So it's an interesting experience. So I recommend watching that video. And number 2 would be North Cascades. I was camped at East Bank off Highway 20, and I was staying in my tent one night, and it might have been late September, and it got cold after, I'm trying to remember exactly, but it got cold after sunset, so I had to put on my rain cover just to stay warm. And I had a couple lanterns outside of my tent, and I laid down in my tent, and I felt this running in the forest by a Bigfoot. Like they have like earthquake footsteps, but it wasn't walking, it was running toward me. And it was a big one too. And so that got the hairs on my head standing straight up. It's like I was just laying in my tent shaking. I wasn't terrified. I knew it wasn't going to attack me, but it got me going there. And so it just ran over to my tent. It might have thought there was a fire because of the lanterns, because I think their family was across the creek, which was like 100 yards or less from where I was camped. So it might have thought there was a fire. So it ran over to me, and then it just checked me out. Like I said, they don't want you to know they're even there. So anyways, that was an incredible experience. Number 3 would be a place called Pony Bridge on the Enchanted Valley Trail. And sorry, this is all right. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Enchanted Valley Trail, Pony Bridge. It's like a couple miles from the trailhead, and I stayed there one night in I think it was like April 1st, and I set up my tent just after sunset, and I got in my tent to go to sleep, just take a nap, and I heard earthquake footsteps on the Pony Bridge. It goes over the gorge there, the waterway, and it's like, wow, those are Sasquatches. It sounded like 3 Sasquatches because there was multiple, and so they came over to check me out, and like I told you, they're usually in a different dimension, so you can't see them. I had my rain cover on my tent, and I didn't bother to look out. But yeah, so they came over and checked me out, and then I fell asleep, and I got up about 10 o'clock that night, and it was a beautiful starry night. I made some ginger and turmeric tea, which was really healthy, and I had a carrot muffin, and I enjoyed the stars and all that. It was beautiful. And then I went back in my tent, and I was just doing some reading, and soon afterwards, I was having a great time, and I didn't really want to be interrupted, but there was this really bad smell like poop outside my tent. It's like, oh man, what is this? So I just figured it was a Sasquatch just standing there that had poop on its leg. Sorry to be so graphic, but that's what happened. And I didn't look outside, and I ended up going to sleep. But so that was Pony Bridge experience, and I actually went for a hike the next day, and came back in the afternoon, and I was like taking a nap in my tent before I packed it up and walked back to my car, and I felt footsteps again. It just shows you how curious they are. They don't leave you. They just stay and hang out with you because they're really curious about people sometimes, especially people that are like alone, I guess. They like that. I've had so many encounters, and I've always been alone. I had encounters when I was with a neighbor one night in Index, and she's a singer, and she started singing about 9 o'clock at night, and the whole forest from the east just came walking over towards us. That was about a quarter mile away, so pretty interesting stuff. But they've never been violent toward me. Number 4 would be a place called Hope Lake. up by Stevens Pass. This is all western Washington. Stevens Pass in the summertime. I was camped at Hope Lake, and it was a hot evening, so I was just in my tent, like in my underwear, just trying to stay cool. And a couple Pacific Crest Trail hikers walked by just before dark, and they needed a place to stay, so I suggested they just camp down by the lake, which was about 30 feet from me. And so I went to bed that night, and I woke up a few times. I just sit up in my tent and drink some water and all that. And I saw a shadowy figure walking around my tent. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's somebody going to the bathroom or something like that. And then the third time I got up, and a young Sasquatch was just staring me down right outside my tent. It was like less than 6 feet tall. And I told you, they're friendly. They just hang out with you. There was a big down tree at the camp spot, so the Sasquatch was probably just sitting there the whole night, just hanging out with me. And so anyways, I sat up and I looked at it, and all I could see was a shadowy figure. And I just looked at it for, I don't know, 15 seconds. Like I said, I couldn't see any eyes. It was just a shadowy figure. It was just getting a good look at me. And I don't remember exactly, but I just went back to bed, because I've been having so many encounters over the years. I knew it was just hanging out with me. So this is just a few of my amazing experiences backpacking. So that was number 4. And number 5 I just wrote down is probably just friendly animals. I've had a lot of just friendly animal encounters, like black bears. I almost bumped into a black bear one morning on the Olympic Peninsula. That was the closest I've ever been. It was like 3 feet away from me. It was just smelling me. I got a video on that one. And it just turned and walked up the mountainside. And another bear encounter on the same trail was a bear that squared up on me, about the same size, maybe 500 pounds, 400, 500. And when they square up on you, that means they mean business. You don't want to mess with these animals. So I just kept a distance, and then it went back to sleep. I have a video on that one also. It just laid its head on the tree and went back to sleep, so it was friendly. So that's 5 amazing experiences. I just felt like making a video about it. So that's that. We'll just leave it at that. I'm a little too excited about that. All right. The video around again. Rainy season is here. I cut my hair for my new job. I don't want to mess around. Got to be submissive to the employer. All right. I was going to go for a hike today up in the snow, but I ended up staying up late last night and sleeping in, and so that's not going to happen today. So anyways, yeah, the wilderness is pretty wild. So catch you later.